Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on this special video on NewsX. Today, we are going to be talking about the film Toxic. Yes, the much anticipated film starring rocking star Yash has now been postponed. Yes, that's the big news coming in. The breaking news this holy morning. The makers of the film released a statement saying that Toxic's release has been shifted from the 19th of March to the 4th of June. This decision has been taken due to the current Middle East conflict and due to the fact that it is rising with each passing day. It is not looking at ebbing anytime soon. Yes, remember, of course, this has come as a big disappointment for fans who were, of course, eagerly anticipating the release of Toxic. The teaser had already intrigued many about the project. It looked like there was going to be a lot of action, and of course, Yash was seen in a very rocking and a very different avatar, a very menacing and a really unique look, of course, in the teaser that we saw. Also, Tabahi, the first song of the film, was released just a couple of days ago. This weekend, in fact, was supposed to have a big event in Bangalore where the trailer of the film was going to be released. The trailer launch was slated for this weekend itself in Bengaluru, but now the news has come in that the film has been postponed. The makers said that this is obviously a very widely anticipated film, which is why the makers, the distributors actually have advised this decision, of course, to the producers, which is why they have decided to delay Toxic to June. They're hoping that the conflict will come to an end by then. Of course, it's obviously a postponement by almost more than 2 months. Obviously, this film, because the fact that it's been shot simultaneously in English as well, it's been dubbed in multiple languages, was looking at a big release internationally, particularly in the Gulf, the Middle East, where, looking at the situation right now, the release would have been very difficult because there is a tumultuous situation in the Middle East. We've seen airspace closures, we've seen attacks there too, in the war between Iran and US, Israel and US and Iran, which is why, of course, the makers have decided to push Toxic. Now, what does this mean? This means that Dhurandar 2 now is going to have a solo release. Remember, already it was being talked about that as to whether any of the makers would delay either Dhurandar 2 or Toxic, because this was a much anticipated clash. One, because Dhurandar has been such a huge hit. There is so much of anticipation about what the second part holds in the Ranveer Singh starrer. Toxic, because of Yash, of course, had a lot of pre-buzz as well. So anyways, they were going to eat into each other's box office. And of course, release as well the number of screens that the project would have got in theaters. But now, of course, obviously, Dhurandar 2 is looking at a solo release. There was some anticipation, some speculation as to whether Dhurandar 2 would also postpone its release, but that doesn't seem to have any logic to it, because anyways, we had seen how Dhurandar was banned in the Middle East and the Gulf countries. So it's unlikely the Dhurandar 2 will be released there as well, which is why any sort of uncertainty in the Middle East or Gulf would not affect Dhurandar 2. So it's not looking likely that Dhurandar 2 will be postponed. It's looking that it will release as initially planned on the 19th of March. And it's good news, obviously, for the makers now, since it looks like a solo release. It looks like it's going to be a clean run for them at the box office worldwide. But yes, that's the big news for now. Toxic pushed. Toxic has been released. Toxic, which stars Yash, Nayantara, Huma Qureshi, Kiara Advani, Tara Sutaria, Rukmini Vasant, and many others, has now been postponed to the 4th of June due to the Middle East conflict.